TNA is getting ready to cross the line again as they go under siege on Friday. And right now, we are talking to two members of the most dominant faction so far in TNA, and perhaps taking the TNA roster under siege with them. It's Brian Myers, it's Eddie Edwards from the System. Gentlemen, good evening. Well, good evening because I'm in the UK, but good afternoon to you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks,
man. Good
Red.
afternoon.
Um, we've got, as you say, Under Siege Friday. You guys are going to be quite busy in a six-man with your leader and TNA champion Moose, going against, the three people. Broken Matt Hardy's back in TNA, guys. That's an interesting one. And then the guys that have been your nemesis recently, Speedball Mountain, England's very own Trent Seven, and Speedball
Oh
Mike
my
Bailey.
God, you want to take credit for him?
I don't know.
Woo.
The first question I was actually going to ask, obviously with all this stuff in England at the moment, is do you guys believe in Joe Hendry? That's the big one.
Why do we keep getting asked this today?
It's
I
the
know.
ongoing question.
I don't
It's
know. I don't know if Joe Henry believes in Joe Henry, but he's a very talented individual, I'll tell you that. Yeah.
yeah, we seem to believe in him a lot. He's still number one over here in the UK, iTunes
Wow.
charts. Dango would know a
Wow.
bit about that, Brian, obviously.
Yes, he did have a little success with that
He did.
this
But
thing.
let's get back to matters in hand, shall we? Six man, you three against Speedball Mountain and Matt Hardy. I mean, Brian, just for you personally, you obviously had a bit of a history of Matt Hardy before. He's a bit more weirder now. He's a bit more eccentric than he was back in those days. How do you prepare yourself for someone just as weird as Matt Hardy is now?
Well, Matt Hardy keeps calling himself broken, but he's not broke at all because he's been stealing money from AEW for the past couple of years. So I'm not too concerned about it, to be honest with you. I think he's using this as an opportunity to rejuvenate his career, which I don't blame him. TNA Wrestling's the place to be. It's a lot of fun. It's awesome. It's destination programming for true wrestling fans. And he's not gonna, be successful in doing that, making a name for himself against the system, because if you watch the product, the system is cooking, baby, and we can't be deleted.
No, you certainly can't. Eddie, you've been at TNA, I think 10 years now, or at least 10 years.
Forever,
Forever. Yeah, yeah. But you've sort of, you've been there for so long. How does it feel now? It really feels back on this crest of a wave. Over here in the UK, it's been great to witness this again, the way it's growing again. And you come over last year, it was so great to see you guys. How do you feel now, sort of 10 years on, looking back at your career from TNA?
I mean, I feel great. I feel that, the group that we have, from the locker room to the front office to production, everybody involved, I feel like we're all on the same page. We're all moving in the right direction. We all have that same goal to continue to build TNA back to what we were and even higher. You know what I mean? We have the same goal, and we know, it's not going to happen overnight, but we are working towards the same goal. And I think collectively, I think you can feel that in the locker room. You can feel it at the events. You can feel it when you watch the show that we're all on the same page, and that's a special feeling. So I'm very happy with the way things are right now. The system is running wild. We're holding all that gold. The list will be adding some gold around her ways. So right now things are good, and I'm very happy with the direction that we're going.
I was literally going to say we may well be holding pretty much all the gold come Friday.
That'd be sweet, wouldn't it?
That would be four, well, technically four bits of titles, and the tag titles that you guys have got, and the heavyweight champ for Moose, and then Alicia holds up one of the knockouts. Assuming again you're going against another Brit, there seems to be like a British invasion a little bit in TNA. Pardon the pun. Now with a lot of the guys coming over from the UK, I just wanted to talk about that briefly. I mean, you've seen the likes of, obviously there's Trent, there's obviously Leon Slater, he's going to be huge. I've known Leon for the last few years over in the Indies over here in the UK, and he just is as amazing as you see him in TNA. There's still so much more to come, but you're seeing a lot more from us over in the UK. So do you think, from what you've seen, the market over here, Brian, seems to be a good place for maybe people like TNA to pick up some of these talents that perhaps have not necessarily been heard of?
Yeah, of course. And there's a rich history with the UK fans and TNA. There's been a lot of success there over the years. And just recently, like you said, we had that tour, and
Yeah.
I could speak for everybody who was involved in that. It was so fulfilling on so many levels. I think from the fans' perspective and the wrestlers' perspective, we had such an awesome time, and it felt great you know, that was actually really like the first place we were where we heard TNA chants for the first
Yeah.
time in such a long time. You know, it was just such a special and memorable trip. And I do think it was so successful that we'll be back, you know, sometime this year.
I hope so, because I'd like to attend this time. I missed out last time. I'd like to. I was in Madrid. Sorry.
Uh,
Oh,
yeah.
not a
Yeah,
bad place to be.
not a bad place to be. No, not at all. Eddie, let's go back to obviously you obviously had a lot of tag team. You've been a part of a big tag team previously as well, and now you're tagging with Brian here, and you're tag team champions again. Is it easier when you get paired with someone that's been a tag team wrestler a lot more so than someone getting prepared that's been a single for most of their career?
I mean, maybe. I don't think that's the situation here. I think here it's more about me and Brian are friends outside of wrestling. You know what I mean? In the back, we travel together. We're in numerous text. I don't know how many text groups we're in together, but numerous text groups. Like we're friends outside the business, so that definitely comes into play when we start working together and wrestling together. And it's something, where we both have this respect for each other, where we know when we're tagging, it's something that's just gonna click. And we haven't even hit our full potential at this point. Every time we get in that ring, it's something else clicks. We figure something else out, and I think that's the beauty of finding a team or finding a partner where you're truly in sync, and that's what we have right now in the system.
Yeah, definitely. So, Brian, would you say it's like a learning curve every time you've got somebody new that you step in there, you learn something a bit new, or you tweak a move, or you look at him and you look at a move that say Eddie does and think, how can I add to that to make it more of like a tag move or things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you never stop learning in professional wrestling, but with Eddie and I, what's different is like he said, we're friends outside of the business. So everything is sped up. You know, we've only been tagging for 4 or 5 months, but like, everything we do is really sped up and we're fast tracking the success. And like you said, every time we go out there, it gets better and better and better. And we learn a little bit more about what it's like to work with each other. And I just love to say it because it's true. We're two of the most decorated tag team performers of our generation. We've come together to form this super team, if you will. So of course it's going to be successful.
It's definitely seeming that way, or a super group, shall we say, if we add the TNA champion Moose into that. We can't forget Moose. Let's talk a little bit about Under Siege. I mean, I'm just going through the card as I did today, and I can't seem to look at a match that wouldn't main event somewhere. If you look at it, I mean, you got like a tag team match between PCO, Jordan Grace, and Kong and Steph Delander, who's a good friend of Matt Cardona's, who's a good buddy
Yep.
of yours, and we wish him well with the surgery. And I'm not sure about the picture he posted on X the other
Everyone's
day or
very
the
concerned about
aftermath.
that photo. Yes.
Yeah, he's probably got some a bit about that. But if you look at it, does it show when you look, we run to like Hammerstone and Jake something and people like, does it show, Brian, the strength and depth of this roster? We spoke about how the roster is really sort of getting to a stage now where it's really, really buzzing out at the back. But you look at people like the Hammerstones, Nick Nemeth, for argument's sake, you guys, it does look as if the roster there has got something special about it at the moment.
And that's the beauty of TNA, right? It's got a little
Yeah.
bit of something for everybody, no matter what you're into in pro wrestling, what your fandom is. There's something there that's going to be enticing for you with our roster. And it's, the hardest working roster in the business. And there's going to be, names that you've seen on television for years and you recognize without a doubt. And there's going to be up and coming people that are going to really get on your radar and blow your mind. So that's the beauty of what we have at TNA Wrestling.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll keep mentioning the name Leon Slater, but everyone will know who that guy is in the years to come. Eddie, going back, I mean, we look at experience. We're going to see the FBI back in action under Siege on the pre-show. Having little Guido there a couple of weeks ago as well was great on Impact. But how much is it important, even like going to yourselves, like people like Leon and other members of the team come to you guys for this advice because you're all there. You've got this experience behind you. And it's really got to be important that they utilize the basically experience in the roster to help them grow as a performer.
Yeah, well, it's like Brian said, you never stop learning in professional wrestling. I mean, we've been in it, 20 plus years at this point, and we still learn. We still ask other people's opinion. You know what I mean? That's just the way the business goes. And if you want to succeed, you need to ask opinions. You need to ask for advice from everybody that's been there before you. So I think it's a smart thing for people to do, and it's also, the right thing. If you want to succeed, you need to ask people who have been there and people who have lived that life for a long time what they should be doing or what I did wrong and anything like that. Because that's what also makes TNA, I think, unique. Where you know, the term is overused, but a family atmosphere. It very much is a close knit community in the back where we're all trying to help each other. Like I said, we're all driving towards that same goal, but we all want the best for each other, and that's something special about TNA.
Yeah, it definitely is for me. Eddie, a quick one as well as we start to wrap up. This week, TNA, you're facing the most wanted man, Nick Nemeth. Another sort of pain you've recently, well, should we say helped Moose retain? I think Moose managed to do that himself at the Paper Rebellion. But Nick Nemeth this week, this Thursday, again, another name there that's synonymous with wrestling and how good he actually is. But how do you approach that knowing you've then got this big 6-man coming up? Is there a little bit in there that you would rather you'd had the day off and then go to the 6-man?
No, no, practice makes perfect. I look at it as Nick is one of the best to ever do it and the best in the business right now. So I want to challenge myself. I want to prove that I can go in there with him, a guy who's done at the highest level for however many years at this point. I want to prove that TNA is my home. TNA is the system's home. This is your welcome party. You're still new here, so I'm happy to step in the ring and show him what he's getting himself into.
Definitely so. And you can actually, guys, you can actually see all of that this coming week. AXS TV in America. We'll watch it over here on DAZN in the UK, or the TNA Plus as well, which will also be home to Under Siege, as well as it's on Thriller TV this coming Friday from the Washington Avenue Armory in Albany, New York. I believe that is where you're going to be going. And sooner or later, we'll be getting to Slammiversary as well, Brian, which is another one synonymous with the TNA pay-per-view names. How much do you look forward to, obviously, every event, but those ones have a bit of a special meaning as well?
Yeah, of course, the special, the name brand ones like that matter, but man, I look forward to every TNA weekend, like like I said, the system is really on to something special, and every weekend that I gear up to get ready to go out there, I'm excited no matter where we are, what the name of the event is. I know that, the system's going to be a major part of the show and do something special. So that's what I look forward to.
They certainly will. Well, will the system come out on top this coming Friday? The system go against Matt Hardy, Speedball Bailey, and Trent Seven. Also on the card, we have the X Division Championship. Ali will either go up against Trey Miguel or Ace Austin. That match will be determined this week on Impact. And that, again, on paper, whoever wins that match between Ace and Trey will have an absolute barn burner with Ali. He was over here recently. Blew the roof off the place where he was over here, was fantastic. So as we mentioned, Spitfire, also Danny Luna and Jody Fret will probably be losing the TNA Knockouts.
Wow, look at this guy kissing butt. All right, yeah.
Well, you're here. So against obviously Masha Slamovich and you say Alicia Edwards. There's also the tag team war between Eric Young and Josh Alexander versus Kaz and Macklin. And the big titans go together as Hammerstone and Jake Something collide in a match that I think is going to be one of the best on the card. But Eddie, Brian, it has been fantastic to hear from you ahead of Under Siege. Like I've already said, Thriller TV, TNA Plus on Friday the evening. I will be watching it. The review will be going up on the channel of the pay-per-view as well. But thank you very much, Eddie. Thank you, Brian, for your time. Good luck. And we'll see you guys next week when I review Impact again. Until then, everybody, take care and goodbye.